And our friend Clay Henry joining us here for the next couple of segments on Halftime, publisher and editor of Hawgs Illustrated. And he is on the phone with us right now from somewhere out on the road. Clay, how's the drive going? What you up to?
I'm good. I got my second COVID shot, driving back from the pharmacy, and everything's good. Dude didn't hurt me or anything.
Good. You and me both today. I'll be checking in on you to see how you're feeling, to see how I'm going to be feeling later on tonight. That's right. So, prime example of college basketball these days now. You barely get a day to reflect upon an incredibly memorable basketball season for Razorback men's hoops. And now today, the offseason begins with the announcement that Desi Sills makes on social media that he's transferring. I know there might be rumbles perhaps of others. And it's college basketball 2021. What can I say? This is how it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's a tough business, as they say, and that's what it is. And these guys are all thinking that they got to get their minutes, and they're thinking about are they going to play at the next level? Of course, they all think they are. Reminds me when I was 14, I thought I was destined to be an Arkansas Traveler. I thought that was as good as it got. But anyway, like young men, they think they're gonna, if they play basketball, they think they're going to play in the NBA, or they're going to play in the the developmental league, or they're going to play overseas. And you know what? If you can play at the SEC level and get significant minutes, like Desi, he got significant minutes. He wasn't always a starter, but he played a lot of minutes for this team and played good minutes. You can probably play overseas. And I think he's going to try another year of college. But it's, if he's going to the portal, he's not, he's not done with college yet. But they want to start, and if they're not starting, they want to find some place where they can. And I get it.
Well, and there's various ways for a player that's not getting the minutes that they feel they deserve or that they want or that they feel they're putting the minutes into for that player to act. And it seems like Desi, look at the way he played the last two games. The effort was just as much as we'd seen ever before from Desi. The kid always gave everything he possibly did, but I just feel like the way that he went about it here, because he was barely playing for really February and most of March until these last two games. He gets out there, he plays hard, and to me that's good. That's good advertisement for your marketing for yourself. Because he knew he was going into the transfer portal, he had to. He really marketed himself properly in this case by, he sat, he stayed quiet about it, and then he went out and he busted his butt.
Yeah, the way I would describe it, he played like a fighting Razorback. And if there was a loose ball, you could guarantee Desi was going to go on the floor to get it. And he fought his guts out. And the shoulder injury was a big factor in what happened to his minutes in the second half of the season, because he was shooting well and looked like he was off to have a really good season. And then he hurt his shoulder, landed, awkwardly. And, when he came back, all he was a defensive player. He did not have the shot. And you almost if he took a shot, it's like, I don't think you can make that one, Desi. And he did. But, yeah, you got to pull for him, and I will always think fondly of Desi Sills, even though he's going to transfer.
Now, let me ask you, as a journalist and as someone that's been around Razorback athletics your entire life or paid attention to it on a close account for your entire life, what perspective do you choose to take 2 days after the end of the season? Are you in not nostalgic mode, but looking back to appreciate the achievements of the 2020-2021 team, or are you more looking forward into what's in the near future, because I'm very interested to see how Muss and this coaching staff, builds the next roster. What perspective are you taking?
Well, I guess, Phil, and I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I guess both. It's still too recent to do anything but look back and smile at what these guys did, because they were really a lot of fun to watch and won big games. I tend to go back to the two home victories late in the season against LSU and Alabama, and just that's how I'll kind of remember this team is how well they played to kind of claw themselves into a really good seed. You make the Sweet 16 by earning a good seed, and that's when they did that. That changed the whole perception of this season when they won those two games and fought from behind against really quality. I would argue that LSU might have been the most talented team in the SEC, and when they played well, they were terrific, and they came close to beating Michigan. But that's how I'll kind of flip the switch and think, okay, well, what are they going to be like going forward? And there's a lot of hope and belief that Eric Musselman can take whatever he ends up with over the next 4 months of signing day, the portal, the transfer, just all of those different things that are kind of the mixed master of what college basketball has turned into of late. And you've got the COVID eligibility thing, where everybody's eligible wherever they go, whenever they go, for this 1 year. And there's a belief that he has the ability to operate in this bizarre, parameters that we're in right now. I mean, don't you think that he can take whatever roster that he ends up with and figure it out? And I think that's the belief of Razorback fans right now, that they've got a coach that understands how to do this. They can coach.
You saw it last offseason, Clay, and it was plain right in front of you when you have one of the top recruiting classes in the nation, and the 4 freshmen that we saw already what they did, and these 3 grad transfers that 2 of them played huge roles in Arkansas' success, and then the SIT transfers in which a couple. J.D. Note had a pretty successful season. Vanover had ups and downs. I felt like Hunter Yurachek had to know what he was doing, hiring a coach in Eric Musselman that already was building college basketball teams in a way that the game was moving in that direction. So that it felt like vision on Hunter Yurachek's part.
Well, he either did or he was really lucky. Yeah. One of the two, because he does understand this, what you would call time or format or whatever. He can recruit high school players. He can recruit Zoom. He can recruit off the phone. He's able to, the social media aspect is in his wheelhouse. It's a different time now. I'm not a social media whiz, but I understand what he's doing. And, he did it at Nevada. Then, he took Isaiah Joe and Mason Jones and put it together last year. Until Isaiah got hurt, they were rolling. I think that if they had not had that significant injury, I think you would have seen, a similar type record. And, of course, they didn't get to play in the postseason. Nobody did. But they would have been in the postseason. I do think it's wrong just to assume that he's going to be in the Sweet 16 every year. That's a lot of things got to happen right. And
well, you're right about that, Clay. Can you stay with us for the next segment?
You got it.
Yeah, you're right about that too. Like if rosters are going to change year by year, like
expectations have to change.
Right, not total turnover, but that's right. You can't get to the same level with the exact same team, with a different team every single year. But I'm not saying it can't be done. maybe this coaching staff can be the one to do it. We'll be back with Clay Henry after the break. Don't go anywhere. Well, the Final Four is set, so that means I'm ready to make my plans to go to Branson for the Game Day Lodge, where we're going to be doing the morning rush and halftime, April 5th and April 6th, watching the national championship game on all 17 televisions. I will be lying down in every one of the 28 of the 19 beds, except the ones that the other guys have decided to take. Pool and poker table. They got a couple of kitchens. I'm going to beat Ty in a 3-point shooting contest in the outdoor basketball court, plus a heating indoor swimming pool. This place is great. Got to get a look at it. So search Game Day Lodge on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can reserve it on Airbnb and Vrbo. That's the Game Day Lodge in Branson. Can't wait to get there. We got Clay Henry with us for another segment. Clay, I don't know if you've seen on our hitthatline.com bracket challenge, but I should start here. I am in first. You are in second amongst our show hosts. So I guess that means we're the smartest of the show hosts. Wouldn't that be correct?
No, I just think we're probably lucky. I was interested to hear Ty discussed this last week and said, well, he hadn't really paid much attention to college basketball this year. So, like, what? You're making excuses because you're last? just say I just had a bad bracket. I'm going to go up to the Game Day Lodge. I originally wasn't planning to do it, but Tommy assured me that the place was so massive that I really probably wouldn't even see Ty there.
Yeah, that can be arranged. There are 2 floors, so you can pick whatever floor you want, and we'll force Ty to be on the other floor. Why don't you stay on the first floor? That way we can keep Ty upstairs for the whole night.
We'll call our floor the adult floor, right?
That's right, exactly. We'll get the poker and pool tables. And the arcade sounds good to me. What do you got in this Final Four? Because I still have my championship game in there, Baylor versus Gonzaga. And I had Gonzaga winning the whole thing. After watching Baylor against Arkansas, I'm not really sure. I do think those teams are going to match up against each other, and it's almost like a coin flip to me. I'm not sure which direction to go.
Yeah, I like Gonzaga. I think that they have been the most consistent team, and I kind of like Mark Pugh. The more I read about him, and the more, of course, he likes to fly fish, so that kind of goes without saying. He's my favorite, and he's in the Pacific Northwest, the steelheading, and the proximity to go to Alaska, which is where the best fishing in the world is. He's probably does all that all the time. So I picked Illinois, so I'm not going to get very many more points no matter what happens. So I can't catch you, I don't think. But I pick a lot of 1s and 2s to win a lot of games. That's my bracketology. So and it just seems like no matter how many upsets that you have, if you've gone heavy with the 1s and 2s, you're going to be all right. And that's kind of my theory on the brackets. And I've generally done well with that philosophy.
Yeah, I agree. Chalk usually is the direction to go.
Yep.
It worked for me in this case. What do you got on the cycle for Robert Moore? That's it's pretty cool and really cool to see him come out. After struggling for a couple of weeks, looks like he's back now. Yeah,
and then the other guy that looks like he might be ready to emerge is the stud that we all thought when he came to school was Braden Webb. Really like what he's doing, his approach at the plate, setting the table for Matt Goodhart. Is Matt Goodhart? I mean, he's the truth to me. Is he the first guy that hit it on top of the building?
Yeah, I think he hit it over the building from what we heard from one of the construction
we
workers.
don't even know where that one landed, right?
Oh, apparently I saw a tweet from someone that said his kid, a construction worker, gave his kid the ball. I don't know what's true or not, but that's what I saw. Yeah, everything on Twitter is true, right? So I'm going to take that at face value.
Yeah, and I mean Moore's home run. I mean, it almost hit the W above the video board, right?
Yeah, it did hit the Baum Walker marquee. It got out in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not a big guy, but and Goodhart's not what you would call a big guy. Before the season, I was talking with Nate Thompson and Dave Van Horn about how much power this team had, they didn't really want to make guarantees, but you could tell they thought they were going to hit some home runs. And they're hitting a lot of home runs, and they played good pitching so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, what happened yesterday is not a fluke. Maybe the 21 runs is a little different than what you saw against Mississippi State, but the home runs are not a fluke. Like this, they hit them in bunches. They hit them in bunches. And really, I mean, we look at a team that's hit 45 home runs, Clay, in 23 games. What it really is it's 44 home runs in 20 games, because they only hit one in the series at Texas, and that's a graveyard there. This team is ahead of the 2018 team as far as home runs per game. That is impressive.
So, what do you think about my theory? And it's not just mine, that building that the new clubhouse and workout facility, behind the right field stands or wall, has done to change the wind as far as balls going out to that part of the field, that it's easier now?
Well, I asked Dave about that, and he said he's not sure yet. He doesn't know if it's as big of a sample. I do think it creates a little bit of a swirl, from the top of the roof all the way down, up above the roof. I don't know if it really changes much at all. So those high flies still are going to carry out no matter what. But those line drives to right field, you might not have the wind coming in from the south like before, but there's a little bit of a swirl depending on the way the wind is blowing. So, I mean, they've only played 13 games there, 14 games there. So pretty small sample.
We don't have enough data.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, hey, one thing I know, Nate will have the data eventually. He'll know. He'll be able to tell us.
He sure will. But
the
Clay,
analytics, the Hobbs and Thompson, they get the data.
But Clay, one thing that's so consistent in baseball, and this is the sport that you have to be consistent if you're going to be a team that wins, and hitting isn't always consistent. Pitching can be, but that's tough to stay consistent. Fielding usually remains consistent throughout a season, and this is a really good team in the field. To me, that's one thing that stood out, maybe more than anything else, between Arkansas and Mississippi State. Bulldogs kicked the ball around a little bit. The Hawgs did not, and really made some great plays.
Yeah, so this is my feeling, what I've seen so far. And I loved Casey Martin, and I mean, I wanted to see him hit, and I wanted to see him run. I did not want to see him play shortstop. I do enjoy watching Jalen Battles playing shortstop. So their defense is better up the middle with Jalen Battles at shortstop. His range, now Casey had range, but Jalen goes and gets foul balls with, when I'm talking about foul balls, down the left field line, he just glides out there, and it just looks so routine.
Well, I think Clay, he had there's a mental and emotional effect and a confidence effect that a player like Battles has that filters down to the rest of the defense. And when I say defense, I don't like to use the term defense in baseball much, because for me, defense is pitching and fielding working together.
Yep.
But when you have a shortstop like him, that puts the entire defense, which is the fielders and the pitchers, in the back of their mind. They know they've got a dude out there who makes the routine plays, but man, he gets to a lot of balls that nobody else can. And I haven't seen an arm at shortstop this year any stronger than Jalen Battles.
Yeah, I didn't know what kind of outfielder Caden Wallace was going to be, but he has got a rifle of an arm. And he just seems to make plays going to the alley. He and Franklin get to everything. And and then you knew what Braden Webb was in left field. So I really, and Brady Slavin's at first isn't bad. He's not bad over there.
Yeah, I agree. It's a team to watch when you want to talk about fundamentals in the field. Like my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, because I wanted to catch, he would say, watch Tony Pena. Watch how he does this, except the putting your foot out when you're sitting down, the way you would squat. Or he would tell me, watch Mike LaValliere. I think this is a team that fathers bring their kids, sons or daughters, out to games, moms too. Tell your kids, watch what these guys do. Watch their footwork, watch their handwork. This is a fundamentally sound team in the field.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Opitz, the catcher, is, and I was on the move last night, so I was listening to you and your sidekick.
I forget his name too sometimes.
Yeah, Bubba something. And can we call him Bubba something?
You can. You're one of the people who actually, I think, knows his real first name, Clay.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, not many that have done it.
It is rare. You're right about that.